to my phone for the better camera. So this is what you get. We're going to use the camera on my iMac here, and hopefully the sound will be good for you today. I'm just going to keep showing up as often as I can, and I'm going to keep creating, even though the sound is not great lately and the video is not great. It's okay. We're figuring things out. And this is, I'm doing this for me to get better at talking to the camera, to get better at tuning in to what I feel like is the right thing to say at the right time. And that takes practice. So I'm here practicing. This is for me and for anyone who happens to stop by and see this video. And we'll use the editing software later if I say anything profound. And here we go. So this is my live show, Tea and Tell, where I talk to you about stuff that I'm learning, stuff that I'm thinking about, and then at the end we pull tarot or oracle, not as like fortune telling, but as the way to show us like little peeks into our souls and what we're actually, what our higher mind or our higher being or God or the universe or angels or our guides or whoever you believe in is trying to communicate with us. And so it's a very intuitive thing. It's not really a weird thing. I thought it was weird for a long time, but then I realized it's just a little bit like the Rorschach paintings in psychology, where it's like, what do you see here? With the tarot and the oracle, it's you look at a pretty picture. I usually try to get the tarot cards that are, in my opinion, beautiful and cute or fun. And in those pictures, I can see, my higher mind or the inspiration, whatever's trying to communicate to me, helps me see, because it's like it just gives you a little window to maybe get out of your head just a little bit and focus on something different so that the inspiration can come through. Today, I thought maybe we could talk a little bit about how I learned how to read tarot. And listen, I am not an expert. I'm not really even a tarot reader. I just do it for fun. And I learned how to do it from my friend Brooke Andrioli. She's my life coach, and I met her at a little retreat at an author's house a few years ago. And she read tarot for the four of us or five of us that were there at the retreat, and it was just profound. And I learned so much about myself, and it was like it gave us all a chance there to open up, to be vulnerable, and to explore our hangups to writing, especially because it was a writer's retreat. And, you know, most writers I'll just give you a little insight into most writers. Most of the time, we're insecure, worried about whether we're going to have the right thing to write, whether anyone's going to read what we're writing, because writing is a lot of time and effort. Um, get my bangs down here, because if I don't, they'll just stay stuck up the rest of the day. Anyway, so writers are notoriously uh notoriously have a difficult time writing, because it can be very lonely, and it can be very unpredictable. What if we spend all this time, because it's a lot of time that you spend writing. What if we spend all this time and nobody likes it? Or what if we spend all this time and we still can't quite express what we want to say the way we want to say it? And so anyway, while we were there and Brooke was reading our tarot cards, I just got to see for the first time the way I wrote and my creativity in a different way. So it was a life-changing experience for me. And then ever since, I've been more open to the idea of looking at the tarot or tarot, however you want to say it. Generally, I do, I did in another life speak French. So a lot of times when I'm saying the words in English, I will definitely say them more the way an English or an American would say things rather than the French way, but sometimes that's not always true. Anyway, I anyway, back to the tarot. I love anyway, it's just opened my eyes to seeing things, to giving myself a chance to see something differently. And I feel like I should read tarot from this deck over here. By the way, my tea this morning is peppermint tea. Like I've said in the past, if I'm running late in the morning, I drink peppermint tea because I can just use I have one of those water coolers that's hot on one side and cold on the other. And so I can just, you can steep peppermint tea a lot easier. And you don't have to worry about it staying in the cup for too long. I'm going to grab this deck right here. I love this Seasons of the Witch Winter Tarot. It's beautiful, and it's by the same people who do the Seasons of the Witch Oracle decks. So it's really fun. Okay. All right. So let's talk about how I learned to read tarot. Now, mostly I've only done it personally. I haven't really read for many people. The interesting thing is when I pull for myself, and the few times I've pulled for other people, whether on this channel or, for family members or friends, I've noticed that I tend to get certain cards a lot of the time over and over again, or a certain theme with most of my cards. And so it almost makes me think like, oh, well, all the cards are like that. They're all like encouraging or whatever. And then I'll read for someone else and there will be a card and the guidebook might say something like, this is a warning card. And I'm like, what? I never get warning cards. So, but the way I approach tarot is it's not like telling the future or telling you something that's not already a reflection of what you are bringing to the tarot that day. So if I'm full of anxiety and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what's going to happen to me and I hate this person and what's going to happen to them." I might go to the tarot that day and the tarot will, I'm guessing, will reflect back to me that idea. So that's kind of a law of attraction kind of explanation, and I've heard people say that before. So I try to always, when I approach the tarot, I try to be in as positive a place as I can be because I want it to reflect back to me positivity and guidance and like support. I don't want it to show me that I'm doing something wrong. I don't know. Maybe that's anxiety itself because I'm afraid to do it another way. I don't know. But so when you're reading tarot, you don't have to know what every card means. A lot of people, the more you do it, the more you understand about it, the more often you look at it, you start to pick up what the different cards mean. And what's great about it is it's symbolic, right? So even though a guidebook might say what the card means, that's what it could mean to the person who wrote the guidebook. Or that could mean it could mean what it has meant for a long time in the collective consciousness of all the people who have looked at tarot. But when you look at it, all that matters is what you see when you look at it in that moment. So it's very important, and I often forget this, but it's very important to, instead of just being like, oh my gosh, I pulled, what is this one? Oh, Seven of Swords. I think that's the dream one. I don't really know. Okay, I think so. Like if I pull the Seven of Swords, actually, let me look at my typical guidebook. And oh no, this Seven of Swords is like, it's like something hidden. All right. So anyway, if you know what Seven of Swords means, you might just see that and go, oh, it's Seven of Swords. And that's fine too, if you have an understanding, but this is a fun one because you can see it. There's like, what am I seeing here? There's a woman. So, first of all, you look at the picture, and that's what's fun about maybe collecting different tarot decks or finding one that resonates with you. I've heard some people say that your first tarot deck, somebody has to give it to you. I don't know. I don't believe in stuff like that. If you want to, that's great. Um, you could be sitting around for a long time waiting for somebody to give you a tarot deck. And then you might put so much meaning in the one that they give you that it might not really mean that much to you. Like my husband bought me 2 decks one time, and I didn't feel like either one resonated with me, even though my husband loves me and knows me really well. But I think they really resonated with him, but they didn't resonate with me. Okay. Yeah. So when you see this one, you can see, you know, a window, some snow outside. You see this little cabin. I think that's supposed to be the moon. It's like, what do you see? Now she's got swords in some sort of a doll. It looks like maybe a voodoo doll. Okay. Uh there's a string, so maybe but she seems really sad. So that's something to consider. I'm always talking about it being so positive, and maybe that one's a little so like I said, I don't often pull that one for myself. That one is more of a let's see. I'll tell you, for example, what it says in the normal one, in a normal Rider Waite. And this is just one person's interpretation of the Rider Waite. But let me read it to you. So it says, a man this is what it normally looks like. Okay. So it's a man appears to be sneaking into a camp and making off with a bundle of swords. Is he getting away with it or getting caught in the act? This is traditionally the card of theft. It's also a sign of someone acting alone, like a stealthy fox entering a hen house undetected, a hidden agenda. Okay, so now for this one, this interpretation is interesting. I'm going to read what the guidebook says on that right here. So 7 of Swords. Here we see a young maiden sitting by a window in front of a peaceful wintry scene. All is well outside and the night is clear, but the maiden looks distressed. She's just stabbed a poppet with 7 tiny lightning swords, and now she's wondering what she's done. Yikes. So this one is interesting because it's a little less positive than most of the ones in the deck. This was her attempt to get ahead with manipulation and dark magic rather than staying true to her integrity. See, that's what I love about these seasons of The Witch. It's always very positive. Like you see something negative, but then it'll invite you to do something positive and better and kinder and more filled with love. And so it's more of a message of love always in these seasons of The Witch decks. She's attacking others before they can attack her and has become the person she's run away from. There's times when she does need to bend the rules, but she may be pushing things too far now. She's feeling guilty, which fortunately means all hope isn't lost for her. Guilt is an interesting. We don't want to feel guilty forever. Guilt or regret is a good emotion to feel when it's helping us do course correction, but not necessarily if we're carrying it around forever and ever. So that's something to consider when talking about guilt. She's weighing the consequences of her actions and trying to decide whether she's willing to lose herself in the pursuit of justice or success. At its heart, this card represents underhanded tactics such as lying, thievery, manipulation, and duplicity. For whatever reason, you feel as though you have to make some less than savory choices to get what you want. Perhaps this is your way of standing up to a bully or leveling the playing field. This card always reminds me of Melanie Griffith in Working Girl when she says, "You can bend the rules plenty plenty once you get to the top, but not while you're trying to get there. And if you're someone like me, you can't get there without bending the rules. There will be times when the rules need to be bent, even broken if you're to have a chance at success. However, a victim can quickly become a villain if they're willing to consistently sacrifice bits of their values in service of a purpose. In a way, this card represents that tipping point where the thrill of having gotten away with something marks the beginning of a slippery moral slope. In a more positive expression, this card can mean being strategic or a willingness to play the bad guy to maintain your boundaries. Sometimes you have to turn against the status quo and do what's in your best interest. In both cases, this card guides you to listen to your heart and check in with your values to determine what's right or wrong in your situation. Interesting. So now there's a perfect example of a tarot card that's not all, sunshine and bubble gum. And it's more, it's talking about gray areas and helping you put into perspective the choices that you want to make, and maybe it might be reflecting back to you something in your own life that is particularly harrowing. Maybe somebody is misusing you. Certainly had situations in my life and seen it in other people where um the person that they're dealing with might be very narcissistic and not have, and at the moment in their lives, not have any real accountability. So trying to come together with that person and trying to find equal footing and common ground might just be an impossibility because the other person has just completely changed the way they do things so that they no longer have accountability. So it doesn't matter any bargaining chip or anything you bring to the table that might help you come to some sort of compromise doesn't work because that other person doesn't care anymore and doesn't feel the need to um, be true to themselves. That, like, there's no truth to that person has no truth, or that person has temporarily suspended any need to make choices based on an outcome that they want. Instead, they're just blowing up their whole lives with no, like, because they just don't care about anyone or anything. And not that they're, bad forever or some sort of malignant narcissist that'll never get better or never change. Maybe they will be that person that never changes. But, we can see that sometimes. And so in that situation, maybe that's a card that shows us that we may have to um, make decisions for a greater good, even though the, even, or we may have to be strategic in the way that we deal with that person because that person has changed all the rules in which they behave. Could be something like that. So it's always something, always keep, it's important to always keep an open mind. And whenever you find a card that maybe doesn't sit quite right, you're like, "Oh my gosh, this person is like sticking things into a little doll here." and maybe that's, and like the other person is not even aware of it. That might not sit quite right with you, but let it be. It's an opportunity to look at your life and see what's going on and reconsider it. Always listen to your higher mind or God, the universe, or your guides, or whoever you believe in is there to help you have the most loving and fulfilling life. Okay, I will show you another one. Let's pick another card. I'm not just going to pick one with random. Let's see. Ooh, these are beautiful. Let's see. Okay. Let's pick a happy one. So this one is Four of Winter Wands. Now, Four of Winter Wands, or a Four of Wands is usually like my, my hand is shaking this morning. Okay, so Four of Wands is usually the homecoming card. So this has a beautiful Christmas tree and some candles lit up here. So a lot of times people will make candles as a substitute for wands. And so I'll show you, this is what a normal Four of Winter Wands looks like. See, so there's like this home here. Well, they live in a castle. And then there's this bower here. It's all decorated. Oh, wait. Maybe it's not home so much as it's celebration, but okay. The festive Four of Wands is a party card, a party on card. I don't know, this girl, the way she talks. Okay, after a hard day's work, it's time to play and celebrate. Kick back and enjoy your rewards. You've crossed the finish line and can claim your reward at last. In a question about love, this card can indicate a stable, committed relationship, good times for all. I don't know why I always think that's the home card. Maybe somebody wrote that in another guidebook that I read. But then let's read what this one says. We find ourselves peeking into a celebratory moment. Two maidens dance with abandon in front of a glorious Christmas tree that lights up the night sky. They have come to sing and laugh, for they are celebrating a significant milestone. So much has gone into this achievement, and now they're enjoying the fruits of their labor with good cheer and good company. This is a festive card representing all of life's celebrations, from weddings to birthdays, graduations, holidays, births, retirements, and reunions. It appears whenever you have reason to celebrate and urges you to enjoy this time spent with those you love most. If you're looking for confirmation that your next major milestone is near, or you need a reason to throw a good party, then this is it. On a more personal level, this card guides you to reflect on your progress. Think about how far you've come since your journey began, how much you've had to push yourself out of your comfort zone, and how many times you've had to rise to face an obstacle. This milestone isn't just about having fun, but about giving yourself this moment to acknowledge all you've done to turn a dream into a reality. The number 4 represents stability, and in this sense, the Four of Wands is about foundations you've built through your relationships and hard work. You have these people in your life because of the joy you bring to them, and you've achieved these accomplishments because of your willingness to invest in yourself. This is no accident or a game of chance. You've done this, and you've made this happen, and you will continue to do even more. However, there is a shadow here. This card represents a milestone, not the end of your journey. There's still so much to do and accomplishment. This card isn't about the end of your journey, but about the significant stepping stones you'll take to get there. So we can always you can interpret this however you wish. Ultimately, it's up to you. And what do you see? You may see this card and you notice these little flowers up here, and then they remind you of a flower that you saw recently, and then it sparks something. And then to you, it may have nothing to do with the main subject of the card, but something here, some sort of symbol that is meaningful to you. So if that's what you see, then that's the message for you. Um, and likewise with this one, maybe this part doesn't really mean anything to you, but you see this little cabin and it makes you think of a beautiful memory that you had with your family. It really matters. What's so important is that you listen to your own intuition and what feels right to you. Okay, let's pull a card for us. We're just going to do one because I need to get to work. One day, I would love to be able to have a different job or have YouTube be my main job. And then I wouldn't have to worry so much about running off to work. But for now, this is my life, and it's wonderful. Okay, so today I was thinking about appreciating the now. And I have this we've talked about appreciation before and about gratitude, and sometimes gratitude can feel a little two-sided, like the shadow, for example, of gratitude is sometimes we're grateful for something, but at the same time, we're letting, you know, we're letting a shadow in the back door, which is a way to punish ourselves. So, for example, I could be appreciating my shower, and then I could be like, "Oh, I'm so grateful for this shower. Oh, there's all these other people in the world that don't have showers." And then suddenly receiving what you're receiving what you already have becomes fraught with this idea that you might have to save everyone, right? Like, oh, if I have this great shower, then it's going to be like, if I have this great shower and then suddenly I receive more and I have a lot more resources, then I need to use all those resources to help everybody on the planet. Okay, that's where my thoughts sometimes go. So, and I would love to help everyone on the planet. Might be a little bit tricky to do that, to save everyone on the planet. Might be an impossible task. So, when I so that's sometimes what happens with gratitude. So sometimes a negative idea can come in the back door with gratitude because it suddenly becomes no longer you're receiving the good that you have and saying thank you as much as it is now you're panicking because you don't know how to help everyone in the world and save everyone. That's what I've found for me. So my gratitude practice has to sometimes shift to being more like, "Oh, I love this thing. I appreciate this thing. Thank you for this thing." And then kind of I leave it. And then if I want to, I can say, "Thank you for this thing. I hope I can be of service to others. I hope I can share what I have," or something like that. It just is for me, it's a cleaner emotion. Abraham Hicks talks about this all the time, and it definitely helped me to put this into perspective because a lot of times my gratitude practice was fraught with feelings of guilt and despair. So gratitude, if your gratitude practice turns into guilt and despair, maybe you might want to look at that and change the way you do it so that because you want it to be a gratitude practice should make you like it should raise your vibration rather than making you feel powerless. Okay. So, um, the way I do it is I say, I like this thing. I like this. Thank you. And then you can extend it. I like this. Thank you. I like this or I love this. Thank you. I would like to receive more. And then you can take it even further and say, I'd like to give more to others. And see how that works for you. Okay. So, hmm. Also being in the now. So that's the other thing. So that's what I'm working on now. And what I would like to see more of, or I'd like to have some more clarification about being grateful or appreciative of this moment now. So I'm just going to pull one card, please. And then I put it in the form of a request. Please show me how to be appreciative of the now. All right. I split the deck and now I got Initiative of Winter Cups. So initiative either means ace or page. I'm not sure in this deck what they mean by that. So let me pull this out. Yeah, okay. So this is like the page. The initiate is the page. Okay, so first, before I jump into the guidebook, let's see what we see. So I see a little person Flying in the night sky, I see a moon. It looks like a new moon. And this person is flying out their bedroom window. This looks like lucid dreaming or astral projection to me. That's what it shows me. It shows me um, what I'm seeing in this is, dreaming and perhaps being guided, letting go of overthinking. I don't think people who astral project, I'm pretty sure are not overthinking things. So to me, so far, it's an invitation to not overthink, and it's an invitation to basically lighten up. Like you can't, it's like it reminds me of Peter Pan. Remember, like the way that they could fly, it was the pixie dust, but also the most important part was the thoughts they were having. They had to have happy thoughts because, Wendy says, and I'm not sure if she says this in the book, but they lift you into the air, like the happy thoughts lift you into the air. And so raising your vibration, and you would raise your vibration through appreciation, like we were just talking about. That's one of the ways to do it. So now I'm going to read what it says. Here we find a young boy flying through the night sky thanks to an enchanted cup. He could have looked at this offering as a figment of his imagination, choosing to disbelieve and miss out on the opportunity to soar. But this initiate believes all things are possible when you have a willingness to follow your heart. He doesn't question his feelings when he has them, just like he didn't question the fish in the cup with the promise to help him fly. So, that idea, questioning the feelings, that's overthinking things, right? So, they did a good job communicating that idea through the picture, because that's what I received. But it doesn't matter if I receive something different than they laid down. It's, it's always an invitation to see, what did I get from it and what did they intend? It can be a marriage of the two ideas. The initiate of Winter Cups, traditionally called the Page of Cups, is the most raw and natural representation of the heart. The person epitomizes someone who is curious about all things creative and expressive. They love to discover more about themselves and to find a new passion or be moved by a work of artistry. They value the arts and culture, live for the next new idea, and dream as though life was a constant fantasy. They aren't too interested in who, where, or how. They follow wherever their heart takes them and trust they will be caught if they fall. So now for me, what they just said totally describes me. I'm always starting new things, starting new projects, starting new ways to, like, even starting new careers. I'm always trying new things, and a lot of them don't take off at all. But I think it's because I often doubt myself, and because I'm like this, because I'm, you know, older, I look back and I go, "Oh, what's wrong with me?" I'm always changing my mind and I'm very fickle, and so I'm judging myself. Judging myself would be overthinking, and it would be doubting and questioning my own feelings. But this person has this trust that everything will work out and to just follow the joy, follow the excitement. As an evolutionary energy, this card guides you to be more open to your heart and intuition, to wear your heart on your sleeve and let your emotions guide your path. Your spirit is always showing you the right way forward through the stirrings of your heart. So if you feel called to try something new or explore a different part of yourself, let this serve as your sign to give it a go. It doesn't matter whether you try it for a day or commit to it for a lifetime. Delight in the feeling of the discovery without expectation, force, or impatience. Pages often represent messengers, in this case, manifesting in a new creative idea, an introduction to a soulmate, or a once in a lifetime opportunity. Be on the lookout for something miraculous when you pull this card and stay open minded with the idea that seemingly impossible things can happen for you at any moment. I love that. I remember this one time I was talking to my sister on the phone. This was several years ago, and we were living in an apartment, and we just had my first husband and I had just had our third baby, and it was like, oh, we don't want to live in a, third level walk up with a new baby and three kids and one car. And it was overwhelming to me. And, we were in a lot of debt, and I just didn't see any way out of where we were. And my sister said, remember, things can change on a dime. Things can truly change on a dime. And we said that, and about a week or two later, we found the house that we ended up moving into, and we were able to close like 6 weeks after we had that conversation. So you never know what's going to happen. Things can change at any time. Oh my goodness. I have a call coming in. Let me see. I'm going to ignore that. Oh, okay. Yay. So just little interruptions. We've got Authenticity by the Bucket Loads here at Tea and Tell. Okay. So I love that card. I hope that it resonates with you in some way. What does it mean to you? So when you look at this card, put it in the comments what that means for you. And for me, I think it means to stay in the now, stay in this 0 point energy where in the now, you have infinite possibilities. If we're always worried about the future or one step into the future, then we block ourselves off from the opportunities that something else could bring us. But if we stay in the now, appreciate now what we have now, appreciate what we already have been given, then it opens us up to receive endless possibilities. And then just trust that as we raise our vibration, the best possible outcome will come to us because we've raised our vibration. That's what I'm going to see in this card today. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for putting up with this camera situation. I hope soon we'll be able to figure this out so that it will all start to work properly on these lives. But that's okay. We're just doing our best over here. Thanks again for watching, and subscribe it if you would like to know when I'm going to be live. As for now, I'm getting off the ground, and this is a personal practice which I love and that you are invited to join me on. And so if you subscribe, it'll let you know when I'm going live. And when I do, please write in the comments that you're here. And then if you want, I can read your tarot online right here. And you can be invited on the show if you'd like. Okay. Have a perfectly wonderful Tuesday, and I will see you soon.